In today's video, I'm diving into the topic of how gluten may affect your period. So a scientific study found that women with celiac disease reported a higher amount of menstrual cycle disorders, so including PMS, missed or irregular periods, and heavy and painful periods. And then another study found that 38% of women who had untreated celiac disease reported amenorrhea, which is the term for period stopping altogether. So celiac disease is an autoimmune condition where the body essentially attacks itself when gluten is consumed. And it often goes undiagnosed. It's associated with many different illnesses, including endometriosis, and it has an impact on fertility, on multiple miscarriages, and early menopause. So if you think you have celiac disease, but you haven't been able to get it accurately diagnosed, it's important to remove gluten from the diet anyway. And now the other group is those with non-coeliac gluten intolerance. And this is a trickier group because symptoms show up in a variety of ways, and it can't be tested as easily as celiac disease. There are a lot of people, who they know they just can't tolerate gluten, but they've been told that if they're not celiacs, then it's, this gluten intolerance is in their head. But that certainly isn't the case. Gluten intolerance, gluten sensitivity, they are very real. And the main difference is that celiac disease is an autoimmune condition. So if you have a gluten sensitivity, eating gluten may contribute to period problems, but it may not. The intolerance symptoms show up different for different people in different ways, and it could be mental health problems or period problems or digestive issues. It really depends on the person. The only way to really know is to cut it out and see how you feel. Now, while I don't recommend all of my clients come off gluten, I do prescribe a gluten-free trial phase for all of my clients with severe period pain. So there was an interesting study published in 2012 which showed that 75% of women with endometriosis reported a statistically significant change in pain symptoms after 12 months on a gluten-free diet. And endometriosis is a condition associated with very painful periods. It is also like celiac disease in that it's severely underdiagnosed. So for any clients who have periods that are, painful enough to require pain relieving medication every month, or who need to take time off school or work due to these severe cramps, whether they think they might have endometriosis or not, I do recommend coming off gluten for at least 3 months to see if it makes a difference. Often women notice a huge difference in their first cycle even. If they don't notice much difference, then they can go back to eating gluten, and then we continue to work with herbs and other protocols to ease that period pain. But I always think if it helped 75% of women in this study, then it's worth a try. It's tough, of course, because gluten is in a lot of foods, in like a lot of common foods in people's diets. But it's essentially a free potential solution for period pain and endometriosis. So why not give it a go? Another common gluten-related period problem is amenorrhea. This is the medical term for a menstrual cycle that is stopped entirely. This is commonly found in undiagnosed and untreated celiacs. It's also common for gluten to cause missed or irregular periods if you have gluten intolerance. So if you're not getting any periods, if your periods are irregular, it may help to stop eating gluten for a while and see if your cycle comes back. That being said, there's many different reasons behind amenorrhea, irregular periods, and it's really worth getting those symptoms investigated by a professional. It is a sign from your body that something isn't quite right. So, you might though have a bit of a waiting list to see your doctor or a specialist. So why not try going gluten-free for a while you're waiting for your appointment? It very well may help. Another cause then behind amenorrhea is lack of nutrition, body weight, being very low, too much exercise. And in this instance, I really wouldn't recommend giving up gluten, if the person's not already eating enough and getting enough nutrition. So in that instance, I'd say focus on whole foods, good fats, and just help to get your body the nutrients it needs to maintain your menstrual cycle. Lastly then, I want to talk about menarche. This is the phase of life when your period starts. I'm hearing more and more about early menarche these days, with girls getting their periods as young as 7 or 8. And the endocrine disrupting chemicals that I spoke about in recent videos have a really big role to play in that. However, on the other side of the spectrum, delayed menarche is associated with gluten intolerance and untreated celiac disease. So in some cases, girls don't go through puberty until their late teens, even 20, 21. But what's really interesting and also encouraging is that the menstrual cycle often begins to come back, and the periods come in the first place, and the periods begin to start as soon as gluten is removed from the diet. And that is a sure sign of gluten intolerance or celiac disease. And also a sign that introducing gluten back into the diet would likely not be a good idea and could affect the menstrual cycle and fertility in other ways in the future. So to learn more about this, check out my written blog on the topic, linked in the description below. If you found this useful, please like and comment and subscribe to our channel and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. And here is to happier periods.